Hey guys, believe it or not, cheating is a big problem in chess. And it's not just online chess. That's primarily where the big issues are. But it's also an issue in OTB, or over the board chess. In a recent tournament in the Netherlands, in Zeeland, I believe is the name of the place, there was a player who was rated about 1650 who was eventually kicked out of the tournament after he was first suspected of cheating by a FIDE master. Okay, the FIDE master was rated about 2250. So he's about, what is that, 600 points higher than this player. Okay, this player destroyed him. Or I say destroyed him, he beat him. Okay, he played a very nice game, which I'll show you in just a second. And after that happened, the FIDE master was suspicious. And I don't know if he talked to the tournament directors or exactly how it went down, but somehow it was brought to the attention of the arbiters or the tournament directors that this player was suspicious. Like, how is this 1650 rated player just, playing so well against these high rated players? Okay. And come to find out, a few rounds later, they discovered that he had a cell phone hidden in his sock and was getting the top engine moves in certain critical situations and beating these really strong players. I'm going to show you the game in just a second here that the FIDE master played against this cheater. We're going to take a look at it. And by the way, they didn't release this player's name, so I'm not going to share his name either, even though I do know who it is. I did some research. I did a little bit of detective work to figure out who this player was. I found his game. I'm going to show it to you, and we're going to see if we can figure out what it was that maybe was suspicious to the FIDE master, why he suspected this person. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, okay? You can't make this stuff up, by the way. So I'm going to jump over here, and this is the game review. So I plugged in the moves onto chess.com, and this is the game review. You can see black is the cheater here with the accuracy of 98.6, and then the FIDE master played with 90.8. Okay, so let's go ahead and hide this. We'll take a look at the game. And by the way, there's no timestamps here, okay? I don't have that information, so I don't know how much time was used. But in online chess, that's a really big factor, right? You want to look at how long they're taking. In OTB chess, I'm not sure if that's as big of a deal, but let's go ahead and just jump right into this game and see if we can see where the suspicion came from, okay? So knight f3 is played, knight f6, g3, d5, and some of these moves are, pretty normal moves. I think most anybody can play this as black, right? You're just getting some pawns in the center. Okay, whatever. You push by. I mean, honestly, I think maybe this is a decision that not everybody would make. I think if it's me, I'm just going to focus on, like, developing pieces, but whatever. Pushes by. Now he develops. Trades, okay. Bishop d6. Personally, I don't know that I'm putting my bishop there. It just seems like a weird square. Because what am I attacking? I think e7 maybe makes more sense. I don't know. It's kind of a tricky position, but okay. He goes bishop d6. Not a big deal. Bishop e7. He plays h6. Okay. And notice this e4 square now. By the way, the knight is gone. So now that bishop has been traded, this knight is going to jump into e4, which is kind of a nice little square. Okay, so knight is played. And here the player decides to proactively deal with that by playing queen to e7. Very nice idea, very nice move. Also is what Stockfish recommends. Okay, so the knight jumps in, and now he's able to save his bishop by going back to c7. All right, nothing super crazy just yet, I would say. a3 and a5. Best move there. And white plays b4 anyway. Now, this is an interesting moment because if you count 1, 2, 3, only 1. And so it looks like a free pawn. There's also some tension here with the rooks, but black could trade that. What's going on? Well, basically, and this is what happened in the game, cheater decides to trades the rook, and the FIDE master is probably thinking, okay, now I have control of the file, which is nice, and I also have pressure on this d4 pawn, so if black tries to take me, I'm probably going to just get my pawn back, and I'm good to go. Now, I would like you guys to pause and then just put yourself in the shoes of the black player here. What move would you play in this position? All right, well, I am going to go out on a limb and just say that very, very few people, if anyone, suggested the move f5. Okay? Now, for me personally, never crossed my mind. The only moves that I was thinking about was taking with the knight or taking with the queen. That's it. Like, that's maybe e5. I was thinking, like, to defend my d4 pawn instead of taking that. And then if he pushes, I move my knight or something. Those were really the three moves that popped into my mind, okay? So this is one moment where like, whoa, f5, what a move, like out of nowhere, right? Because your brain is following what's happening in the position. And what's happened? Well, we've traded here. We've traded the rooks. The next logical thing is, okay, this pawn's about to get captured, but then I'm going to lose my pawn. That's probably where your brain should be thinking, right? Stockfish is thinking about something else, which I'll show you guys here. Actually, I'll show you now. And that's why they say f5. So here's what I think Stockfish was thinking. If you take with the knight right away, there's this move, queen a4 check, which is actually really annoying. You can't block with the queen or you lose your knight. You don't really want to move your king and lose castling, right? So let's say you choose a move like bishop d7. Then the queen's going to jump down to a8. And again, you have to make an awkward move, some sort of block with the queen or the bishop, lose a pawn. You're kind of passive. Okay. So what was Stockfish's idea going back here with f5? Here's the idea. After the knight moves, the knight captures. If white now decides to do the same thing, check, and you want to go bishop d, well, actually not, you don't go bishop d7, you go king f7. This was the idea. Okay, you clear the way for the king to tuck over here, which is apparently really good for black. Now, exactly why, I don't really know. It's a Stockfish thing, but that was the idea. Throwing in this move so that you could tuck your king over here. That's weird. I mean, that's just a weird idea, okay? So, first kind of questionable moment. Let's keep going. So f5, the knight goes back, and there we go. And then white decides to instead take on d4 instead of going for that check, which was a good decision. e5, I think this makes sense. Personally, for me, I'm afraid of this. As a human, I'm like, eesh, I think I need to get my king to safety. I'm going to like probably think about castling before I start throwing my pawns forward. But this person is fearless. e5, queen goes back, and now they castle. Okay, rook to e1, and knight to c6. Now, this move is a little bit suspicious, although it kind of makes sense. Because if you think about it, like there's 3 pieces attacking. How else do you defend? The first move that kind of popped into my mind was maybe just like sliding the rook over, something like that. Retreating my knight, which seems like a pretty nice knight. I kind of don't want to do that. I would rather like try to use it to attack. So I'm not really sure about the retreating, but it is the best move. And okay, that's what Stockfish says. All right, knight c6. Let's keep going. Queen goes to b3. Now, as soon as I see this move, I'm thinking about this. Now, I don't know about you guys, but a move that pops into my mind right away is something like king h8 or king h7. I just want to get my king away from that. I don't like leaving that there. That looks scary. That's what I would do. This person plays rook d8, which is what Stockfish says. No, just ignore it because really there's not a threat. If they push it, it's not a big deal. All right, makes a lot of sense. That's what they do. Knight to f1. Now, this is, I would say, a very complicated position because there's a lot of moves that might pop into your mind, and figuring out exactly what to do is not easy. Okay, so if you guys want to pause for a second, what would you play in this position? Very, very tense position. It's very equal. White's position is very solid. What do you play? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, maybe some moves that might jump into your mind would be bringing your knight in and trading here. Yes, you might lose a pawn here, but then maybe you get the pawn on d3. Maybe you jump the knight back to b4 to attack here. There's a lot of things you could do. You know what this person played? King h7. Now, this, I think, there's a couple things that could be going on here. This is not the top Stockfish move. This is kind of like just a random move. And this is important, okay? When you're cheating over the board, a lot of times you have time, you can kind of think through, and you can play some sort of regular moves that aren't necessarily engine moves, and then at the critical moments, that's when you need the engine's help, all right? And so sometimes you get these situations where you just get these random moves, right? I think that's what this was. Hard to say, okay? It's not a bad move. It's just kind of like a little bit further down the list of what Stockfish would say than the top move. The top move apparently is queen d7 or queen d6, which are extremely weird looking moves. So maybe they're trying to avoid that to not get a flag. I don't know. Let's keep going anyway. Knight to e3. And again, this is kind of one of those moments of like, okay, what do you play here? If you guys want to pause again, you know, what do you think the idea is? Well, this person played the move bishop d6. And again, it's one of the moves, but kind of further down the list. So are they cheating? Are they playing their real moves? It's hard to say. Played bishop d6. Knight comes in. Queen to e8. Queen to b5. And here we go. What do you play now? You're playing this position as black. Your turn. What do you play? All right. How many people suggested Queen F8? Really strange move. I'm not even going to pretend like I understand what's going on here because you literally just moved to E8, which was the best move. Now you move over to F8. I don't know what's going on. Do you guys know what's going on? I don't know. Apparently this 1600 rated player knew what was going on. Knight goes to B6. And now the bishop that sat there the whole game finally comes out to E6. All right. Knight goes back. And again, kind of a moment of like, this is a tough position. Like this is there's a lot of options. There's a lot of moves that maybe would come to your mind. Bishop to B4. I'm like, okay. It's a move. Yeah, you could go there. And yes, it creates a one move threat. But why? Right? I don't know. That's what Stockfish says. All right. Rook to B1. Queen to D6. And finally, white makes a big mistake. So basically, the FIDE master had played about 28 moves very, very accurately. Like, they didn't make any mistakes until now, finally on move 29. And if you guys want to pause, what is the move here that black has to take advantage of this apparent blunder? All right, well, if you had a chance to pause and think about that, the move is, wait for it, Queen takes D3. Now, at first glance, this doesn't look like a very good move because it looks like, okay, you're attacking the rook, but the rook's attacking the bishop. And remember, a rook for 2 pieces is a good trade. Like, white is going to be happy for this. So what's going on? Well, if you analyze far enough, look what happens in the game. Takes, 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 check, wait for it. You block the check with the queen and you lose the knight. But here's the other part of the puzzle. If you go here, you guys see the move. Queen takes F3. Okay, so basically, however you block the check, either this way or this way, you're going to lose one of your knights. That's what it comes down to. But that was at the end of all this calculation, which is not easy to see. Okay, it's kind of easy to see when Stockfish tells you all the moves, but in the middle of a game, okay, that's pretty tough. But of course, it's spotted. And after this, now black is just in a nice winning position. They take the knight. Queen takes, and then rook to D1 check. Best move. Knight goes back, and if you want to pause, what's the best move here for black? You had a chance to look at that. The move is simply queen to B4 and white resigns. The idea is you're threatening to take here, so you can't take the bishop because you get forked. Okay. If you try to defend the knight, which is pins, that's really the only thing that you could do, then, well, black has a couple of moves. The easiest is just to take here. After the queen takes, the bishop comes in with check, which forces you to either give up your queen or move and get checkmated like this. Okay, there's going to be checkmate. So, totally crushing position, and that's why white just resigned after the move queen to B4. So, that's the game. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, it was perfectly played. There was a few moments there where, you know, black played a couple of, like, not top moves, but they were on the list. That's how they ended up with the 98.6 instead of, like, 100. But at the critical moment, jumped on top of that mistake immediately, right? Which is not easy for a 1600 rated player to do. But really, in my opinion, the suspicious moments were, like, back here, where you're doing stuff like queen E8 and queen F8, and it just happens to be the exact right moments. And then also F5, which we talked about. Let me know what you guys think. Was it obvious to you? What's your opinion? I mean, we know the answer, right? They found the sock, the phone in his sock. So we know that this is a cheating game. But, you know, this is the kind of stuff that happens online all the time, every day, right? And here we even see it in an actual over-the-board tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And, yeah, let me know what you think. I would be curious to hear your thoughts. See you next time. As always, stay sharp, play smart, take care.